I think Felix just dropped out. Hey, all right, guys. So this is Catalyst Circle meeting 19. Yeah. We're in charge today again. And so we're just going to do a quick loop, see how everyone's doing, and we're going to crack straight in. We've got quite a lot of stuff to get through, but I think we can probably do it in a reasonable time because we're all in a good mood. So, Joey, you're up first. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks, everyone, for sending me the link. And I'm looking forward to today to get her done, get this voting behind us.
Lovely. Thanks, Joey. Steve, how are you doing today, mate?
Same. Real good. Ready to go. Let's do it.
Awesome. Felix?
As closer we come to Circle version 4, as better I feel.
And Quasar?
I'm doing well also. I accidentally left that meeting once you hit record. So I'm back and being recorded. Yeah, I tried, but excited. Yeah, let's get this real big election going. First on-chain vote for Catalyst, taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and I'm doing great as well. Thanks, guys. So,
Reese, how are you?
I'm good.
I mean, Reese, nobody asked
this.
you. Why do you speak about nobody asked you?
No.
No,
it sounded bad. All right. It sounded bad, but I didn't mean it like that. All right. Let's do this. So here's the screen. So everyone's here except Kriss. Just
would be nice to have him.
Oh, Zoom just quit on me.
Oh, yeah. Still can see you on video. One thing, sometimes if you record, you are host and you share the screen. Zoom don't like this. This is too much. Sometimes.
Zooming. Well, we're just going to assume everything's good because this happened last time and it still worked fine. So, yeah. So it's just us, the Scallywags, meeting 19. This is a working group session, isn't it? So it's just about us getting stuff done. We got a few things to get through. Any announcements from anyone?
Yeah, I'll make an announcement. We expected to have Kriss and possibly Harris here on the meeting. They're not in attendance as of yet. Hopefully they will, but they were going to go over the parameter changes for Fund, or the parameters for Fund 9 and for Fund 10. And the reason I'm making this announcement is because there's a lot of communities in the group right now in Catalyst that are making plans on improving Catalyst. And I feel like these parameters are really crucial to the work that they're trying to do, that really dictate and help us define what we can and cannot change. So that's my call out announcement.
Yep. Yeah, we were expecting them to be in. We've all been waiting on some answers, haven't we? Or some, not answers, but like confirmation from them about a couple of things. But, hopefully they'll be here next week and we can get some clarity then. Anyone else?
Yeah, not forcefully to Project Catalyst or the Circle, but really pretty important announcement. Yesterday, there have been a document or a petition over here, I don't know how you say it in English, which have been submitted to the European Union of blah, blah, blah for crypto regulations in Europe.
Yeah.
And this looks pretty awesome, quite interesting. And I drop a link here, and I would definitely recommend everybody. It's a fact really long document, but I would really recommend to everyone to take some time and read through it. Just put it in the live chat here.
The YouTube channel Coin Bureau did a breakdown of it, and I saw it Sunday, and I agree. It's very optimistic. It makes me optimistic. There's Kriss.
Short wrap-up from a high perspective is they definitely agree on the potential and the impact of cryptocurrency in the future global market, and also the necessity of supporting startups and enterprises in regard to which go into crypto DLT direction in general. And they're building out a really nice framework, actually, as it looks like, to really put things forward there, especially also in the legal perspective. So pretty awesome and impactful thing, I would say. Highlight this month from my side already.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, Felix, the nice thing is that the things that they're concerned about, i.e. that they want to regulate, don't really affect Cardano's ecosystem so much, if at all. And I thought that was really interesting. So it looks like we've got a significant part of the world kind of given a green light to what we do specifically.
Yeah, that's definitely looks like it's worth a read, definitely. And I'm gonna have a little dive in that later. Chris has got it. Chris, how are you doing, mate? Are you okay?
I'm all right. I just had no idea where we were until I added. I'm on my laptop. I'm not on my normal machine, so I didn't see that there was this Zoom room set up. But I'm back. Hi guys.
Yeah, good to have you here.
Yeah,
any exciting updates?
Well, I'm happy to share with you the parameters document. Unfortunately, I've only got 30 minutes. I've got to be off in 30 minutes time, so I don't know whether we wanted to prioritize that. And this one was approved yesterday. Okay, and we can go from there if you want.
Let's do that. Let's talk about it, Chris. The rest of it are important details about the election itself, but we can do that. Sure.
I've seen the Mica stuff. Yeah, I hadn't fully read it. I saw the primer on it last week, but I hadn't fully read it. Bullish, I believe.
Cool. Quasar, do you have something to throw in quickly? Otherwise, we'll just dive straight into Chris.
Don't dive into me.
You're muted, mate. Quasar, you muted, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask Reese if you would add a comment or announcement or update on the stake pool meeting that you just came from. I think that's important.
All right, yeah, super quickly. Basically, the SPO meetings just happened. I can't attribute anything to anyone, but we have been waiting a long time for some parameter changes for SPOs, minimum fee, K, and etc. Well, it's basically there's those two parameters, and we're still waiting. We've been told that they're still looking into it a year and a half after we were promised it. So that's the announcement. Hopefully one day soon, the minimum fee will be removed and SPOs will be allowed to be competitive, even the small ones. But yeah, that's it. It's not that exciting. Sadly, bad news. Right, over to you then, Chris.
Yeah, sure. I guess there's only one other thing to mention, and I'm conscious of the sensitivity here, but maybe you might have seen Stephen Whittenstall asking for some formal public responses from IOG in regards to some behaviours that have been taking place within Circle in regards to individuals. So I just want to kind of it noted that whilst we're going to discuss it today, we probably do need to have a discussion about the sorts of claims that are being made and the reasons for it, and maybe we pick it up in the formal session next week.
Sure. I had no idea about any claims, to be honest with you, mate. Completely oblivious to that.
Being very diplomatic here, because I think it's important to not make any. I just it feels like the fingers are being pointed at IOG again to do something, but we've got a code of conduct that we're meant to be following, and building out the bottoms or the final components of it to bottom it out. And so, it's, I don't necessarily think that this is an IOG thing to have to deal with. And I think we can all come to some sort of better agreement and deal with this like adults. Anyway.
I agree.
What I find problematic about that, Chris, is that they seem to want some you know, they seem to want some kind of permanent removal kind of situation. And I you know, we don't even have that in our national governance. You know, if somebody's behavior gets out of line, you know, like in the United States, we have a censure process where somebody has said, hey, this was wrong, right? And a whole bunch of people, like the Senate of the US Congress, says, hey, this was wrong. You're censored, right? And, you know, and like what Stephen seems to imply sometimes with these statements that he makes is that, you know, somebody should be banished or removed. And what I find problematic about that is that for me, you know, and this is just me, this is a very religious perspective, right? You know, it's like saying in Cardano, there's an unforgivable sin. And I don't know that that's true. I don't feel like it should be true, right? I feel like we should have a way for the community to have grace, for people to make errors, and for people to have the opportunity to grow within the community. And I feel like a lot of the finger pointing that goes on is a lack of grace. You know, I mean, you can say, hey, I disagree with what you did here. I am not saying you are invalid as a sovereign individual, right? And that seems to me, you know, where they go over the line in their criticism of, you know, input output or people in the community. You know, it's like there is no final arbiter here. You know, if somebody's really doing something that's inappropriate or abusive, you know, the community can ignore them. They can mute them. They can not invite them, right? And I just personally find this distasteful, the way that it is attempting to be brought to the forefront. And it's also old news.
Why can't we just all get along?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's
hard.
Yeah, let's
Felix
got his hand up, and then.
So to mention there, it's also, we do not speak about 2-3 people. We speak actually about 6 groups, which are already very engaged, which have been very engaged and very close to Circle. I think the main issue is the people there reached out directly, privately, to the accused person first. They wanted to try to figure it out privately before going into public spaces or whatnot. It has been addressed to several people. It was also addressed several times here. And the problem is they didn't get any feedback. And it was not really put to attention nor forward. So the people there then say, it's great if you have a code of conduct, but if nobody keeps people in the code of conduct, and which are the people that would say, hey, this is out of scope, that you have crossed the red line, who are those people there? And who is actually able to do something if red lines are crossed? So on this side, they feel very, let's say, disempowered. How did you say this? Yes. And very much not listened to. And the danger is not that they are pissed off. I think the problem and the negative impact it had is that they all stopped the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And that 5 very involved, very committed groups with a bunch of community members all together stopped the engagement. And I think it's rather more important to look on, why did this happen? Why was this impact created? Because we try to aim exactly the opposite, right? We want to engage people, not disengage people.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's one group, I would say, oh, okay. If it's 2 groups, I would say, oh, okay, maybe something. If there are 5 groups with very different people, with very own teams, very individual projects, all of having the same, let's say, reaction, then I think it's not correct, nor for us, nor for them, to not listen to them, to say, yeah, let's try to handle this as adults, because it's what I tried since the last 4 months already.
Okay, so
you know,
because I'm really conscious of time, and I'm not going to be able to get through the parameters stuff if we labour on this point too much longer. Not that I don't think it deserves attention. It absolutely does, and it shouldn't be just like, you know, brushed over. But I'm really sorry for being late today. Like, it wasn't my intention at all. I was just zooming by myself for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about that, Chris. It's without CC admin organizing the calls, it's hard to kind of coordinate it, especially when we don't really know until the last minute. You know, it's quite difficult. Steve, do you want to just finish your thought and then we'll dive into the parameters? Because I'm quite excited about this.
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, Felix, I hear you, but see, the problem is they are free and sovereign, and if they remove themselves from participating in the community because of an individual, this is their choice, right? And I don't think that they are acknowledging the fact that this work must go on, and if they remove themselves, it will go on without them. And there's something logically false about that, in my view. You know, because in an open and permissionless community, it is naive to think that one is going to agree with everybody. And to remove yourself because you disagree with somebody is, you know, your choice and nobody else's responsibility than the person who's leaving. So I think that it is a waste of energy what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. All right, we'll put a hold on that for a second, and we'll move over to Chris's very anticipated announcement about these parameters.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do really is just share the document, and then we can spend a few minutes going, or some time going, essentially line by line, as to what it looks like. So just give me just a sec. I'm going to.
Do you want to share your screen, or if you want, you can pass me a link?
I'm going to pass you a link. Just give me just a minute. I should have been a bit more prepared, but as is always the way.
Let the record show IOG Kriss Baird is passing a document to the group.
Okay, one
as Exhibit A.
Okay, good. I've got a link now, finally. I think one of the things that we're also going to be moving towards quite soon is, rather than just having open Google Documents, trying to PDF stuff. So we make hard fixed copies of things.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone with the link? Okay, here we go. Bosh. There you go. It's now in everybody's chat, and then let's get into sharing screens. Or does someone else want to share screen? Because I'm going to have to drop off in a.
I've just opened up the drive. Which are we looking at?
Sorry. Oh my God.
Wrong link.
That is not what I wanted to share. Hold on.
I'm just going to close that.
Right,
Copy everything.
Close that.
Chris, I hope you haven't lost your job for sharing that document with us.
Why is that? No. That should be right. Hold on.
Plain on Catalyst browser content, then shut down. Something like this.
What has happened there? There we go. Hold on. Okay, try this one. Can someone else take that, please?
Okay.
There we go.
We have a document.
This is Fund 9 parameters. You might want to zoom in a little bit. So this is essentially what provides us the boundaries of how we go about setting up a fund campaign. And you'll see as we go down the document, quite a lot of information actually. So obviously the first part is obviously the state of private public voting. Then we have the challenges with each of the budgets allocated to them. And then we have a boundary on a parameter around the proposal submission fee. Obviously it has been discussed in the past whether or not maybe in the future proposers need to put up some stake or put up a submission fee. And, one of the reasons for that is to possibly curb the amount of placeholder proposals that we seem to receive, which causes the team undue and unnecessary overhead. Obviously, the fund's under control. And in actually Fund 9, and bearing in mind this document is set at the start of or before the start of the fund. And actually what's happened over the course of this fund is because of the commitment that IOG made on Fund 8 to Fund 9 challenges, that we've had further debate and discussion. So Fund 9, which was requested from stakeholders to be moving into the denomination of just ADA, we were able to reverse that for Fund 9 because of the commitment that was made. The MIR is around how funds are transferred in the current process. We obviously distribution dates for rewards, and they obviously dates have been pushed quite a bit because Fund 9 voting happened a bit later. But again, this document hasn't changed. We don't make retroactive changes to the document. We did try to have a mechanism there to prevent price fluctuation, or certainly to put into place some controls that would give a good understanding if we were to, when we move to this denomination in ADA, what checks and balances can be in place so that there's not too much slippage from when we say the budget is X, and then we come to distribute, it needs to be Y because maybe the price has changed. There are some broad fund goals, and my anticipation as this idea of sort of priority and objective setting is going to begin to take even more of a priority as we move beyond Fund 10. Anybody that's caught some of the discussion that I've been having over Twitter Spaces or the governance jam a couple of weeks ago, I've given some indications as to some of my thoughts and feelings on this. How we go about setting those goals, there's some data points in there, and the process in which to do so. This is an interesting parameter around maximum number of proposals that can be put on a ballot. How CAs or proposal assessors now are registered. How the proposals actually get registered in terms of the vote plan. So what gets essentially into the Genesis block. In the future, the intention is that this will be sort of ratified and signed by the committee. If anybody's read the Treasury paper that outlines some of the committee mechanisms, that's what that sort of speaks to. This is probably something quite new to you guys. There is a difference between the actual amount of ADA that you need and the actual amount of ADA that we communicate as what you need to vote. And the reason for that is often due to transmission fees, transaction fees. So, we account 500 ADA as the minimum because it's a nice round number, but actually 450 is actually the minimum. If you were to register on CLI, register your ability to vote via CLI, you can do it with 450 is the point. We have the registration and snapshot timeframes here, and then the pre-agreed, predefined voting periods, and obviously the key dates for the fund campaign. With the fund ID, which is ultimately what needs to be bumped each time that we create a new campaign. How the voting power is minted. So 1 ADA, 1 voting token. So there is actually token that sits behind Jormungandr, which mints each and every funding round. Proposal logic, difference of yes/no votes until there's the line draw. There may be some changes to that in Fund 10. which we'll be discussing over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. If we can just go up a little bit, just quickly. Actually, just the next, yeah, this is the bit. So the acceptance threshold, so you need at least 1% of voting power to be accepted. And there needs to be a differential of 15% more yeses than noes. That's how you get to approved.
I didn't know about the 1% needs to vote for it. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Now we get into some of the interesting stuff. And this is where if you have to ask me any algebraic questions, I might not be the best person to answer it. But you know, we're talking about in how rewards are configured and how then the lottery system or the reward system for proposal assessors and VPAs is all calculated. Essentially, 13% of the fund budget goes towards voting rewards, and currently 1%, 4%, and 1% for referrers, PAs, and VPAs. And then there's what we have for the challenge teams currently. I'm actually looking at, we're doing a little bit of work on the challenge teams rewards at the moment, because with the introduction of milestone-based funding, there is a need for stage gate reviews, right? So at the point of milestones, who's making the decision or who's accepting that the milestone has been achieved? Well, you know, to sort of stand it up in Fund 9, the Catalyst team will do it. We've also got the challenge teams from the DAPT challenge that are, that have provisionally committed to saying that they'll support the review of the statement of milestones document. And they just want some guarantees that obviously there's not a lot of effort spent with no reward. And so we're being reasonable about this. I'm doing some modeling today. I've been doing modeling this afternoon on how we can take these base rewards of 1% per challenge and how that can be distributed across the work to be done. I should be able to discuss more of that next week once I finish the work. Here's the voter reward formula. As I said, please don't quiz me on this, but it's pretty straightforward. Stake, and then active stake, and voter rewards. It's calculated that way. And then how we get into the advisor rewards formulas. Essentially, there's a budget for 2 excellent and 3 good assessments, and then there's a bonus currently as well. And then there's some information on the lottery system. We're getting towards the bottom of the document now, and got the referral rewards. Again, this is likely to change, as you know, for Fund 10. Well, we got a lot of good proposals coming in, got a high volume of proposals. Maybe we don't need referral rewards anymore. Maybe we don't need to be referred more proposals. Here's the formulas for the VPA work. And then there is a contingency. And then we get into some of the, as I said, the components of when we put together the vote plan and how this actually gets spun up into Jormungandr and the voting app. And then obviously another more sort of parameterized, hard-coded dates for the voting app. Obviously there's been a little bit of change there, but as I said, this was the parameters document as it was fixed before we got to fund launch. And there we have it. Catalyst parameters in a nutshell.
Okay, wonderful. Steve, you had your hand up before.
I got 2 things to just to wrap up. You know, these parameters are for Fund 9. Have you are they set for Fund 10 yet?
They are being worked on as we speak. So there are going to be some changes introduced. We are getting ready to obviously to get the fund campaign set up. And so the changes that will be being introduced, I believe Harris is going to be communicating quite soon.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was the milestones for Fund 9 proposers. There is a lot of interest in the Daedalus Turbo project, and I sat in on his after town hall yesterday, and I know Harris was there for 90% of it. I know. I'm wondering who's going to be looking at those milestones for a proposal like that, because it was very subjective what he laid out. You know, what Alex presented to everybody, and there were multiple people there who were pointing out the assumptions in his process. Who's going to evaluate his milestones? Because if it is a project whose concept is going nowhere, somebody needs to be able to see that at his specific milestones. And I don't mean to pick on his project. There are going to be similar technical proposals that get voted in based on keywords, but somebody technical's got to look at that stuff.
Yeah, and we need to have technically capable individuals that are able to be able to pass the information, right? That's the important point. On the subject of on Alex's Daedalus Turbo proposal, on Tuesday we had a meeting with him, so senior colleagues within IOG. I'm not sure whether he communicated that yesterday. I've only watched half of the recording so far, and they were in the room was Kevin Hammond, Alex Appledorn, who's the head of wallets, Alex's tech lead, Heinrich, and then Harris and I. So we had a very, very valuable discussion with Alex, where we listened a lot and we gave him inputs, and the next steps on that is for him to create a statement of milestones. And my recommendation to him is that the first milestone is a research feasibility sprint, or set of research feasibility sprints. The people that will be involved in the review will be from IOG for sure, but those statement of milestones documents will be public, so anybody's going to be able to see what is being declared, not just for Alex's project, but for every project that's got a statement of milestones. I think the important thing is that there was a lot of assumptions made yesterday on the meeting, a lot, and it sort of speaks to the nature of the need for some sort of research dive. If we wanted to think of it as like a kind of community audit of performance benchmarking, we could, and it might yield an outcome that suggests that Mithral's the right way forward to really sort of improve performance and performance for Daedalus, or it might yield that there's there is no value, but it might also equally provide new insights into where there is value. So,
well, to me, and this may just be because I feel this way anyway, but for me, it highlighted the need for some kind of assessment happening, when a proposal is being put into the proposal process. I think,
I think, I agree with you, Steve, actually, in many instances. The difficulty I think we have is being able to discern who is capable of doing those assessments.
Reward.
Right now, all PAs are treated equally. Maybe this has helped. As you know, I've said this many times. Fund 9's been a watershed moment in many dimensions. Maybe we need to, from a UX perspective on the voting app, or just in general, be able to discern between experts and community assessors that aren't technically capable of being objective, because everybody, the Occam's razor on this is everybody uses Daedalus, and everybody wants faster horses and more comfortable carriages.
I actually think very few people use Daedalus purely because of it being a full node. Like, everyone I know uses light wallets, just as a side comment. But yeah, let's move on. We got Joey, and then we got Felix.
Yes, Kriss, I hate to keep putting you on the spot, but Catalyst Circle 4, I was hoping that the parameter discussion would clearly define exactly how they're going to be funded.
What, sorry? For Fund 9 or for Fund 10?
For the Circle 4.
So Circle 4 is not part of Fund 9 parameters. They will be part of Fund 10 parameters.
But I think a little bit the expectation was from IOG to see how this parameter would actually look like for the budget allocation for Catalyst Circle version 4 and Fund 10.
Good point.
And that purely for informing the nominees, right? So that they know what they're stepping into.
Yeah, I fully understand. The intention today was to show Fund 9 parameters, and then let me see whether I can bring Harris into the fold for the meeting next week, and then we can go through Fund 10 parameters if it's ready to be shared. But as I said, you have my word that Fund 10 parameters will include circle. Circle rewards.
Super. We'll go with that. Your word is good as gold.
And to the parameters then, and any changes, because it's kind of uncomfortable for IOG to be in the position to say, oh, okay, it's up to you to define all the improved parameters as well from funding round to funding round. And it's a little bit the same position for the community, just in the opposite. They say, okay, they want to engage in the ideation and the improvement process of the parameters from fund to fund. And for me, the main question would be, what does IOG need from the community in order to have this? I think you pointed this out some weeks ago already, a month, where you said, how could the community and maybe the circle in this regard set up a very first proposal or whatnot, any process which helps IOG actually to improve the parameters with much more feedback and integration from the community?
Yeah, and I'm going to give you some opinion, and sort of, I'm sure it's shooting from the hip when I say this. I think we need to think that Fund 10 will be, if Fund 9 was a watershed moment, we can think of Fund 10 and concluding Fund 10 as a line being drawn in the sand. And where we step forward over that line into Fund 11 and beyond should be a more mature process and a more collaborative, consultative approach to priority setting, parameter setting, and how we go about coalescing on what needs to change and what direction we want Catalyst to be taken. So, I think the point of note is that Fund 10 is, going to be upon us in a number of weeks. And so, we need to be, we are setting everything up now. We're in flight with all of that. And then, between Fund 10 starting and Fund 11 starting, we've got a number of months. And that number of months is what I believe to be the opportunity for us to look at what we need to be doing as a community of stakeholders to make those necessary changes.
This actually means that the budget for the Catalyst Circle version 4 will not be available during Fund 10 then? No,
not at all.
Oh, okay.
As I said,
okay,
no.
cool.
What I'm saying is,
Okay.
I think when we get if we think of like how we're all going to play a role in deciding the direction of travel for the future of Cardano's treasury funding for Catalyst, you know, we can be looking to Fund 11 for when we've already hopefully matured the process, and where we're now working. We should now be like turning our attentions to Fund 11. And what the future, what does 2023 really mean for all of us? And the way that we go about engaging in discussion, debate, a data-driven approach to you know, producing not just parameters, but the priorities for funding. And then how the community at large plays a role in setting those parameters.
Okay, Quasar?
So with this being Fund 9 parameters, Fund 10, we all obviously have the D-reps coming in there. I imagine the Fund 10 parameters are going to include the change for circle compensation or incentives to be part of the circle. I'm wondering if that, as part of the community sensing that Circle does, to me, not having any of the town halls funded is a huge setback. And I think when we're talking about this parameter change, if we have to go through and look at the current parameters as they are and maybe offer some sort of suggestion on how to fund some of these other things, such as circles, such as town halls, if they're important, can we include that in there? Because I feel like there's some major infrastructure that is very important that should or could be included in the parameters for the circle that we're discussing and offer a real benefit to the community. And on top of this, with all of the changes that are happening in Fund 10, all of the information that's you know come to us in Fund 9, we're looking at major changes for Fund 10. Major changes for Fund 10, which means, you know, 2023, when Fund 11 comes, we're going to be recuperating from what have we done with Funds 1 through 9, you know, and even Funds 7 to 9 with challenge teams and et cetera, all of this coming to the table. Instead of hitting it in between Fund 10 and 11, I would rather find a way for the community to come together, to agree, to be accountable, to do things, to give Fund 10 the running start and the infrastructure and the training it needs, so that we can really have a great foothold or a good position or foundation into seeing what 2023 can be, what we can really make it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is the Fund 10 parameters are important. If there's things in the Fund 9 parameters that could be altered to assist with these Fund 10 parameters, I would encourage all of us to do so if that's a possibility, Kriss. I think there's areas to reallocate some funding, but you know, town halls, in my opinion, are part of something that just needs some support for us to get a hold on these changes, these milestones, the new proposal submission to include the milestones and the reps on top of it, you know, and altering the QA process. You know, like October, hopefully this will be a month of just straight retrospection, where we can actually agree with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to see lots of discussion around the next 4 weeks for sure as to what needs to be tweaked and improved. But we obviously need to be mindful that, you know, the date now is October 6th. Fund 11 is due to launch in quite literally 4 weeks from today, and you know, we can't be discussing things for another 2 weeks and 3 weeks and then expect everything to be in place in a week. It's just not feasible. It breaks everybody. And so this is why I believe, you know, it's a really important The commitment is there to make sure Fund 10 is good. And, we've got the budgets all approved for that, or it's all going ahead. And then, where tweaks can be made and changes can be made. Because it's not just about the QA process. In my opinion, it's probably around the whole of the assessment process.
100%.
I wanted to point out, Derek, that this is kind of what we're hoping for Circle version 4, right? That they can actually be actively engaged in that more than our version of Circle has been able to do. And this is part of the reason for the Drip Drops platform, to get people to vote. I think for us to do that, we don't have the mandate, right? Because just literally comparatively nobody voted for this Circle, right? And as we have felt, people have thrown the rocks at us for being on Circle without being elected, and I think that it's the wrong time to really try to push that for a lot of reasons. But hopefully Circle 4 can make a big contribution in that way.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and I agree there. However, if we're looking at a small parameter change per Circle, Kriss, are we set in stone at 90K for 5 seats?
I think it's 90K for 5 seats.
Forgive me, is that what did you say, yes or no?
No, I don't think it's 90K for 5 seats.
Okay.
It was 1K per seat per month for 6 months, which is 30.
Okay, is my understanding that each seat was going to get a facilitator and a scribe, or
so nine. Essentially, yeah. Okay, so I'm with you. Yes, we can. The process for allocating to the scribe, the facilitator and the administrator, that is, that I guess that's the one bit that isn't 100% clear. How do those people get decided upon? So the circle reps, the 5 seats, fine. But how then is it, I just invite someone to join my team, my subcircle, or how would that work?
Well, kind of basically, yes. Initially, that was kind of the idea, because we also discussed having people who were put up for the roles, the different categories. But then when we did away with the categories, we kind of lost the ability to do that, right? So, so we did initially have ideas where those people would come from, but now we don't really, because of that change in the way that we're going to do voting.
Okay. So if the intention is that the circle rep is able to allocate or decide upon who's going to be working closely with them, we can pilot it. I'm sure it's in theory, it sounds great. Let's see how we get. But yeah, so I guess the point to underline is that yes, we can go ahead with that approach. That's what we will build into Fund 9 parameters. But obviously, I think that we have to have some reservations around someone just picking their mates to join the team, and therefore that needs to kind of come through in how we go about. Getting the confidence of the community to sort of see the legitimacy in the approach.
And sorry, Quasar, I don't want to speak for you, and also sorry to kind of put you on hold, Joey, but I think the need for positions to be in and paid for those kinds of positions is really made evident at the minute when CC admin aren't around, and we have to kind of deal with everything ourselves. So I think making sure that someone at least is there to fill that role is really important, because at the minute, obviously, we're kind of looking out for ourselves, which, regardless of why or anything that's been going on, it just is the case. And we need to make sure that doesn't happen in the future, because they're going for voted proposals in order to get some funding as well. It's not just the circle; it's also the support staff that need to be around those roles as well. I think that's why it's so important.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the community infrastructure piece is really important. Whether it's CC admin, town halls, everything. This needs to be discussed. Sorry, Joey, you carry on.
Sorry, I agree with both Kriss and Quasar, because the circle member, if you have to do the project work as well as the circle, which just has happened in the past, you just can't focus on circle activities. You need to be able to fund that subcircle to be able to take that off your plate, so you can actually focus on community and the things you need to do in the community, and let the subcircles do the grunt work, so to speak, or do the footwork of running projects and solving the solution. So that was just one thing. The other thing was, Quasar brought up a good point, that as this community matures, you're going to find, and I found this in my community too, that administrative tasks and communication tasks are just like the circle. It's going to be difficult for them to continually be funded by proposals. They're going to need some permanent funding, because they create a foundation for longevity. That those town halls and some of the treasury and things that are being done, those are going to be that foundation that we'll work off of going forward. So there needs to be some method for permanency funding those. Maybe the people can rotate, but the funds need to be there for that role. And the other thing I wanted to say was, I applaud you guys for thinking about including the community. It's something I said right from the beginning in some of the very first meetings, that we need a handshake between people in our community and the people at IOG and Cardano Foundation, so these people get to know each other. Maybe if we just sit in some meetings and go face-to-face and just chat about our likes, dislikes, because eventually, and I've found this in my career, that when you invite, this is almost like being a consultant role in a way, because we don't really have the power to make the final decisions IOG head does. So when I go into a company as a consultant, I can influence the decision if I'm invited to the table. But so people in our community need to have a seat at the table when the discussions are being made, and we need to have a seat at the table when the decisions are being made, so that we feel like we're all one organization. So that's just my comments for now, but I'm happy to hear that you guys are actually talking about these things.
And actually, just to jump on that quickly, one thing you were saying, Joey, was about rotation. And I think that's actually quite important, because otherwise we risk a certain handful of people, for whatever reason, being ultimately in some kind of control over Catalyst. And not throwing any accusations at anyone, but I know that has been a concern that's been raised by community members. And if we include that rotation of staff within Catalyst, just like how we do with the circle, then it doesn't matter who's in for any given period, because it's not a permanent place. And it means that there's continual chance for the process to be improved by new people being brought in. And every 3 or 6 months, that cycle continues. And that can be really good for bringing more people in, like fresh ideas and ways to improve it and manage it all by the community in the future as well.
Yeah, and actually, if you go back to the Treasury paper that Bingsheng, Roman and colleagues wrote, you'll actually see some sort of manifestation of that idea of rotation and the idea of the committee. Folks, I've got to jump off, unfortunately. I'm really sorry. I do want to be here for the rest of this meeting, but I have a prior engagement, unfortunately.
More important than this. I can't believe it, Kriss.
It could be no, I won't go into the details, but
it could be.
It would be very important if I don't step away.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I really appreciate everybody's work. Thanks very much.
Well, then, on that basis, then tell your wife we hope you have a good time. So.
she's doing a book signing. She's been celebrated, and I'll even show you. Here you go. See this? See this? Yeah.
Awesome.
This is
That's your wife?
No, this is Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. There's a really, really cool charity called Room to Read, and my wife is one of the 100 change makers. She's that one, the blondie. So she's doing a book signing today, and if I don't leave right now, my ass is grass.
Go.
All right, man.
Take
Have fun with that.
Everybody.
And congratulate you, Mrs.
Bye.
And thanks for your insights today, Kriss. We appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. Appreciate all the good discussion. Thanks, folks. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, mate.
And
All
I
right.
have to go to my book signing as well. So
Rabble rouser, you also.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm actually really happy about that. It feels like things are moving in the right direction. And there were some nice little announcements from Kriss. So that's great. Now let's get round to voting. So,
hey, if I can add one thing before we do that, with these parameter changes, I added it to the consent agenda. Obviously, many people in the community are wanting to see this and have been asking for it. Is there any preferred method, or does anyone else want to share this with the community?
I think if we get it up on the GitHub and the Gitbook, and then we share it, spread it far and wide. I think that's actually a really good thing to announce for the improvement of the circle, like going forwards. And I think that'll help a lot with bringing other people in as well who might otherwise not have no incentive to make time, right?
Wonderful, beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
Right. So anyone else before we move on, or does anyone want to kick off the next section? All right, let's go. Steve, sorry, mate. So clarity on voting. So I made an oopsie and I got it wrong. So just to clarify the way that voting is going to work, it'll be plutocratic. Is that right, guys? 1 ADA, 1 vote.
Yep.
Thumbs up.
Yep.
Okay, wicked. So there you go then. So I got it wrong. Sorry about that. And that's how it's going to work. Just exactly the same as how Catalyst works, except there's a 5 ADA minimum balance in your wallet in order to be able to participate, which means more people can vote too, which is also great. Should we explore 1 wallet, 1 vote, or should we just continue like this?
Just a quick question. Normally, when I do the drip drop thing, they charge you like 3 to 5 ADA, depending on what you purchase there or download. But they give some of that back. Is this 5 ADA going to be awarded to their wallet and then returned, some of it returned or minus fees?
Voters only have to pay for the transaction fee, but do not receive rewards.
Yeah, there's no rewards for voting. It's just participation. So it's not like withdrawing tokens. So there's no, I can't remember how they describe it, but like there's a minimum transaction that normally goes through, which is why that ADA gets returned to you minus the fees, which isn't going to be happening. It's just a minimum value in your wallet as kind of a Sybil attack resistance vector. I know it's super low, but that's just to increase participation.
So nothing will get returned. It'll cost the 5 ADA, or all 5 ADA it's just a marker.
It'll be a transaction fee.
You got to have it to vote. And the way I understood Kyle and Lloyd, they are not going to take anything for doing this.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. It's purely just the transaction fee for signing your vote, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then you don't have to pay 5 ADA. That's just a minimum wallet balance in order to be eligible to vote. That's it.
And it should be up to 10 times cheaper than previous transaction fees, right?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be I can't guarantee a value, but it should be a lot cheaper, like a normal transaction kind of value, maybe a little bit more.
Right, and I'm not well, I don't want to change anything for now, but I'm not opposed to them keeping the remainder of that for their services, but that's maybe a future thing.
You must be a whale, Joey. You go ahead and let them keep yours.
Joey's a sneaky shill, a drip drop shill.
Well, we're going to have to pay them at some point anyway, so we do need. They do need to be compensated at some point in the future. Maybe this time it's volunteer, but we need to think about how to compensate them.
We'll see how many times they have to do it. I don't think they'll have to do it many more times, if at all.
Okay, cool. So in that case, that's the way that it's going to work. Bit of clarity. So next, statements on claims from community. Oh, no. Are we skipping that, or are we going to talk about that?
I thought we already did.
Yeah, we kind of did, didn't we?
Yeah,
nomination form review.
When you go on the nomination form, I added 2 timing benchmarks on the form, 2 comments from or insights from a call with trip clubs. When you scroll down. Wait, exactly. For example, a key part of Catalyst is to be a sensor array. How do you intend to engage with your category to bring opportunities and existing or emerging issues to the circle? This is what Joey wrote. And from TripTalks is coming the recommendation to maybe ask, how do you intend to measure your engagement? To ask the representative a little bit, okay, what are your ways to just prove and to measure somehow what you do? And also they said, okay, maybe it's rename the sensor array. It might be confuse a lot of people actually, because it's true, since we use sensor array, this word does not lead to anything. It just leads to confusion. But I think it's a human sensor error.
Yeah, all of this came from the CCv3 verbiage, so I'm not married to any of this. So all of this can be rearranged any way you want.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I think we kind of resolved that a week or 2 ago with the form for your milestone achievements, your weekly milestone achievements as a circle member. Who did you talk to? You know, that spreadsheet, you know, I mean, like that they will have that. And so I think it makes this question kind of superfluous and confusing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we have built in, like, we have a method for people to report on these things now. There's nothing wrong with you asking them like how they plan on reaching out to people, what kind of methods they're going to use to be in contact with their respective network and community. But obviously they'll just essentially be filling out the form with that as a report, right? So I don't think that's wrong. But maybe we can just get rid of all the brackets and get rid of sensor array and use it as measuring engagement. Like I think that's better worded, really.
Yeah, I think that's best. He's switching computers, probably.
Oh no, I didn't realize that you asked for me. You know, the templates that we put onto the GitHub with the activities so that can be recorded. I believe we may want to include that as include that somewhere, because that's really what IOG bought, you know, on as the compensating the circle, which was, you know, recording those meetings, having those meetings, you know, reporting on that. And I can get you the link to that so we can include it. And y'all correct me if I'm off topic here, but I don't think I am.
Well, I think that would be more just about onboarding people, right? Because like that's processes that people would go to. It's not necessarily needed at this point. All they're doing is filling out a document with their work. That's my opinion,
Okay.
right? If you guys have other ideas, then let us know.
Well, that's definitely what IOG is going to be looking for. In regards to that, how you measure the engagement. So, I mean, those are what we put together, Reese, is the approved from IOG list of items that can be added to measure the engagement. You know, that's what they said okay to.
Okay, so you just mean like link that document in so they can see the table of kind of suggested methods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough just to add a link, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
So do we take off just all the part before benchmark? Just asking, how do you intend to measure your engagement? And then here's some guiding or whatnot examples.
Felix, can you go ahead and just edit this as we go?
Yeah,
That way we'll have an end result.
I'm on the sheet right now, yeah.
And, you know, I mean, clarify for me, Felix, I mean, this document that we have on the screen right now, this is what's going to be emailed to the nominees?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
See, Steve, when we did CCv3, each one of the nominees would put their platform, so to speak, in here, so that when you read through it, you got a pretty good feel for what kind of experience they had.
Right.
And they will all be gathered on one automated sheet as well, where we have all the answers then in the sheet. And from there, we just copy paste everything over to the Cardano forum then. How do we name this part? And just how do you intend to measure your engagement? And then a link to where we gathered all the parts where reporting, accountability and auditability, on which platforms, in which form it should happen. Do we have a link to this? There's no idea where to find this.
Oh, shit. Think. Come on, Quasar, you know where all the documents are everywhere. You know.
Hold up. I was looking for another document. Which one are we looking for at this time?
The
was a Google document with a sheet.
It was a milestones. It was circle milestone circle.
Okay.
God.
I think I just dropped it in there. Yeah. Is it this one? That GitHub link?
Looking.
That should be the reporting one, yeah. Sorry guys, I went at the worst time then.
That's right. This was the one thing you knew, Reese.
Whew, blimey.
Cool.
Not sure if it's this one because it doesn't even include the DWOC part, where we had a whole call with IoT where they agreed on this.
No, this isn't it.
This is the table of reporting for works that we put together that was approved. That was what we basically showed the guys to get their approval from IOG. We do need to include the DWOC link. We need to connect these two together. But we were saying that when the Circle 4, because we don't need to be managing it for them, they can set up their own DWOC server that's then used to report works as well.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Just let's refer to them and say, here's some nice ideas which might help you to build up an effective system by yourself.
Yeah, that's literally all we need.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, it's just examples and suggestions for people. That's it.
Yeah, I like that.
Examples and suggestions.
Yeah. We do need to add some templates for some of these, I believe, and we will be connecting this to the Project Catalyst Discord server, dwork, and this GitHub.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And over the next week or so, we can get started on that as well, and have templates for this kind of reporting. And we already have a template together, but maybe for like templates for reporting on each of these specific activities, like what's a reasonable way to do it, and potential formatting, like that's a bit of work that we can do, and it's not really that difficult.
Yep.
And make it a lot easier for the new people as well.
Yeah. So regarding that question, if we're going to edit it, do we want to include a temple of sample reporting? How do you intend to measure engagements? Rename sensor array. What does that mean? Rename sensor array and advocacy.
Reese, if you refresh the form, you should have updated them.
Perfect. I think that's plenty, isn't it? It's a shame that can't be a proper link, but I'm sure anyone could copy and paste that, can't they? So that's not really an issue. Yeah, cool. There weren't any other things that anyone noticed, were there?
Do you want to go through it?
There needs to be a date at the top that this has to be in by.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. There, from yesterday's call as well, there was somehow a merging timeline coming up, posted here in the live chat. So the whole stuff started on October first week. October 12th nomination open until, oh shit, wait, there was some misspelling. October 1 to 12. 12 from status. And 15. This one. So 1st October week when the voting started. The nomination, then we could say it's open until the 12th. On the 12th, we sent out the email to everybody who was just submitted for nominated. From there, then we have October 16th platform statement. Platform statement coming. Wait, no. There's an issue somewhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's an issue. So actually, nomination is open until 12. On that 12, we send the stuff out. Ask for candidate platform statement, which they can send until the 15th. On the 15th and the 17th, we can then put everything on the Cardano forum. And on the 17th, TripDrop takes the link to each nomination on the forum, plus the name of the nominee, and puts it on the TripDrop's platform. And then usually 10 days from there, voting could happen. And there it's just, once they have everything, they will see, okay, how much content, how much nominations are there actually, how much stuff do they have to set up in the last moment then. And they will come up with the voting date then when they feel, okay, they are ready to go. Also, they are joining CNFTCon and Summit and Rare Plume and whatnot, so the team's quite hell of busy this month. But yeah, they said normally 10, maximum 15 days, something like this, and then election can open.
So on this specific form, then we need until the 16th, midnight at the 16th, UTC. Yeah, because this is the statements, right? Platform statements. Yes. So that would be the 15th. Deadline for this one.
Exactly. 15th would be the deadline. Yep.
Okay, sorry. Cool. And then in that case, we need to, if the form's closing, is it closing at midnight on the 12th? For this one, for your nomination form, is that midnight on the 12th?
Why not?
Okay, cool. So just so we know when people have to, because that's like that's the 6 days essentially they have left to nominate themselves, right? And then we can send this out all in one go, just to everyone, and then they have three full days then to get that in.
Do we want to mention on the intro to say your statements will be publicly posted on the Cardano forum as well, and the voting platform will include a link to your statement on the platform then?
It's probably best just to disclose it, I guess.
Okay.
It'd be better, and then just to say this will be maybe just a tick box to agree that it'll be publicly shown, like at the bottom. I know that's a pain in the ass. Sorry, Felix. But just a tick box, or like a terms and conditions box, essentially, that says disclaimers is going to be shared publicly on the Cardano forum. Confirm that you agree or you consent to having your information shared, or for this to be shared publicly. Similar to the reporting form for proposers. Oh, and that's time, guys.
No, it's not.
I don't know. Is this an alarm?
Should we?
That's a wake up alarm.
That was my phone. Should we put on here too that you have read the requirements, all the requirements to be a circle rep, and agree that you're going to attend the election, or because we're still nominees still have a decision to make. They got to decide whether they agree with all the parameters that we've set for them as far as reporting and all that. If it may be, and of course they're going to have to decide on the meeting time on their own, because we don't know where they're going to come from. But anyway, they need to make that decision at some point so we know who to put on the voting list itself.
Yeah, we need them to agree that they are going to basically follow the code of conduct and the expected work, and agree to like the expected works.
Right.
So there we need to. There we can link to the introduction of the Catalyst Circle version 4, what Joey wrote, and there he also refers to the code of conduct. So sending folks a little bit in the rabbit hole, but yeah, if they take it serious, they have to go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely needs to be in there, because otherwise they might not even know about it, right? We all know how disparate everything is. I really want to submit, like it's just here on my screen. I really just want to click submit. I know it's not going to do anything. Silly old buttons.
Do it, submit, nominate somebody.
Yeah. It's just like right there. All right. Cool. Sorry, Felix. Are you doing that now? Quasar, you got 3 hands up.
It's just writing and trying to find the documents.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. It wasn't that I wanted to show it. It was just like we just give you the time to do that, and we can, if we've got those, if you're getting that done, we can move on to the next bits, really, just because there's only 15 minutes left. Quasar, your hands up?
I do, yeah. We're looking at a very busy month. CNFTCon, Rare Bloom, not to mention everything else that's going on. Really unpopular opinion is November 2nd start date in the best interest of Catalyst. I feel like with the circle and everything going, and asking for one more week would be it. Really disappointing, but necessary.
Well, this is why I thought it was interesting yesterday in town hall that Harris did not say a specific date, right? I think that's already clear to them, whether it's from what you're saying or because of their own issues. I wouldn't bet on it happening on November 2nd. I said it earlier in this meeting because that was the date that Kriss had given us.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like CNFTCon, specifically Rare Bloom, was a great chance to get a lot more conversation, a lot of collaborating and engagement for Circle, and even making the case of this being preparation for 2023 as opposed to just Fund 10.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But Reese will take care of that. He's going to be there.
Yeah, but the form will be closed by then. So what I'll do is I'll just help people do their statements.
That's where I was really going with it. Forgive me for not asking it. Do we want to close it before then? That'll give Drip Drops some more time. It'll give us more time to onboard and really prepare for fun. I mean, honestly, like Kriss said, how much can we actually do in 4 weeks to organize the community for any changes for Fund 10? I mean, how much can we do in 5 weeks? I don't know.
So, I mean, I don't know. If you delayed the voting ending, it would be like November 1st, for the next epoch. I don't know if we want to delay the nomination process or extend the nomination process. I don't know. How do you feel about this, Felix?
I'm not multitasking. I'm just on the document. What was the question?
I think the question is extending or delaying all of this,
No. We are so close. Everything is in the pipe. Guys, we are almost through it. No.
You guys are killing me.
No. We just did everything to get all the rocks out of the way. No, let's not throw new ones.
I mean, no. That's kind of the way I feel about it too. To address what you're talking about, Quasar, this community's engaged. There's going to be a lot of shit talked about for the next 6 weeks. Hardcore. A lot of questions from a lot of people. A lot of questions to the nominees. A lot of questions to input output. A lot of questions to CF. Right, and this is great. But there has to be some kind of rhythm established for it, just so that people know when to orient themselves and their lives.
This is software development, Steve. If you knew anything about software development. I
mean, it's not software development. It's also community development.
I am trolling you.
It's a lot of things. Yeah.
It is. It's a lot of things.
Joey, go ahead.
I didn't have anything other than, I will be turning 80. I want this done.
Hopefully we'll get you off here before then, mate. We'll do our best.
I'm beginning to wonder.
Yeah, I also kind of think we just need to push ahead with it. This whole thing's been delayed. Like every little hurdle's delayed us by a week or 2 weeks. And I just don't want to upset Joey at this point, really. I think we're right there.
I concur.
Let's get it done.
Circle election on behalf of Joey.
Cool. So we'll just have a quick review of that in a second.
We just want to add a last box on the nomination for the platform statement. Say for more information or Q&A, go to Discord channel or whatnot. Where do we actually answer questions then? Where you can say, oh, okay, for the next week, 2 weeks, just let's make sure each of us already, we just have an eye on one dedicated channel. We're using the Catalyst community Discord channel. As this is, I think, a little bit the most neutral of all of them. And to say, oh, okay, if there are questions from nominations, we can answer them actually.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, cool. Let's do the Discord.
Yeah. Can I just ask Felix, what is this thanks? And then a button for option one. I mean, what is that?
Hi.
This is the one I just asked to add a new box to say thanks for participating. If you have any further questions, this is what I would write at them. Feel free to join the Catalyst community Discord.
Okay. I like the just total vagueness of leaving it like that. I mean, just to be obscure and weird. That may be, I may have been influenced by British humor in my youth. I don't know.
It's a little red herring in there for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. To distract from all the other hair.
Would definitely stimulate conversation.
Yeah. But yeah, back to what you were saying, Felix. Let's point it at the Discord. You know, that's probably the best place.
And I don't like Discord.
I'm going to create a forum on that Discord, I think, so we can keep all the questions right in there, if that works.
Yeah.
So if we agree that's complete, is that something that I want to send out to the nominees now, or how do you guys want to approach that?
Is it going to be too much admin work for you, Joey, to just try and send it out every time or like every day? Would it be better to send it out in one go?
No, it's not a problem. I can send it out individually. There's only like 25 of them at this point, and some of those are duplicates.
Yeah.
Some are for Chris, some are for Harris.
Some are for Joey. I saw a couple of Joey ones in there.
There's a null and void.
All right. Wicked. Felix, Quasar just posted the Discord invite in the chat. So you can track that one in if you like. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Got one already. So form is ready.
Form is ready.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, except for the option one.
All right. Okay, wicked. Perfect.
Fuck option. Why is there option? This makes no sense.
That's all right. Just make it mandatory.
If you don't click option one, you will not be voted on, right?
All right, cool. Guys, we're almost there. Quasar, what marketing news do you have for us?
Do we want to design or get some flyers, very much like Governance Day was in the past, that Felix and his team put together? I know Hazelnet, he can add it to what he does, and there's 450 wallets, if not maybe 500,000 wallets attached to Hazelnet. So do we have a flyer? Or can we get a flyer? And Reese, you're the only one with funds. So would we like to make something special?
Yeah, I think we should. And I think we need to post it on Twitter and anywhere else we can get away with it really as well. So let's get that done over like the weekend. It's easy enough to do. We just need logos and dates kind of finalized and make the background look pretty.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Cool. I'm happy to take that one as well.
All right. And just call on me when you want some totally objective criticism.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Your name's on it, mate. You got to now. Oh, I got. Sorry, I forget we recorded, and I sometimes let out some swear words. Apologies. Okay, cool. We got that. Posting videos of nomination statements. We're agreeing to post videos if people submit videos. Encourage people to send videos in for their statements.
Yes, add them to the forum, add them to Discord forum. So just to be clear, there's a forum in Discord, but then there's the Cardano forum.
Right.
Forums galore.
Yeah, forum fest. Fun 10 challenge.
Okay, and then schedule of events. Town hall, swarm, Twitter spaces, debates.
For all this, one really important question about the form statements. Actually, we say, oh, okay, we get all the nomination platform stage, then we put them on the Cardano forum. Who puts them actually on the Cardano forum?
Well, I was going to let Joey do it, to be honest with you.
Ah, nice, Joey. Awesome. Definitely second.
Thank you, Joey.
Well,
Thanks, Joey.
I was volunteered when I stepped back, I guess.
I'm happy to help as well, Joey. So just to give me a message at any point, I can make time during the day. Your morning for you. But yeah, I'm happy to help with that as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And this would then happen on October 16th.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't think I'll be flying, so I can definitely help.
Ooh.
And stake pool meeting. Oh, we did that. We did that already. Wonderful. Guys, we got 5 minutes. Rock, paper, scissors tournament. Guys, this was an incredibly productive meeting. And thank you.
Thank you for hosting.
Hey, Felix, I'm thinking, maybe, I don't know where it can or should be said, but, like all of these nominees, they should feel free to tag us on the circle, with their promo material, and we'll help them.
Yeah.
But maybe we should keep our hands off, and then they will all be untainted by our, suspect ways. And that might be another perspective on it.
That's actually something what we didn't discuss yet. In previous circles, there was usually a little bit of transition power. Not transition power, transition power, but transition time from one circle to the other circle. And usually old circles members still stick around a certain time to introduce the new ones to their role. Is this actually something what we can do as well? Well, there wouldn't be any rewards for it. It was once a funded thing in Circle version 3. I think there was a certain budget for mentorship, but not here.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was actually two things. I'm sorry. There was actually two things that happened, Felix. One was there was a final introductory meeting where everybody came together and introduced themselves. And I think even we did like everybody got into their own little room and did some kind of thing that either yourself or Nori had created some sort of form. But anyway, there was that, and then there was the mentoring where I met like with yourself and Thibaut. Now, I thought the mentoring was great, so I think it will be very important for the next circle.
I think with this group of people who will be elected, what we can offer as we as a group can offer to host a meeting with them and help them, by answering whatever questions they have, and then they can, if they need further mentoring, they can ask for help in that moment.
Yeah, There's
you know,
certainly a
and
degree of
then-
onboarding with the new processes that we've put in place with DWork, with the GitHub/Gitbook situation.
Right.
So I think that's important. Whether or not we all need to be there, but I don't know. I don't think so. It'd be nice if everyone was there, but it's also not necessary, I don't think. But if everyone's available to lend a hand if necessary, you know, or at least be available potentially, then I think that would be great as a minimum.
And the call where all came together, the idea there behind was to say, hey, let's try to get all minds which have been engaged as a rep in the Catalyst Circle since its inception into one call and try to identify a little bit the general, let's say, experience or objectives. But I would say didn't really went to it because, yeah, for this, we really need some really good tools. And it was quite difficult to come to actual outcomes. So I'm not sure if it would be so much needed now, as we still don't have really tools to improve the process there, or if we maybe could try something else as well, like a circle survey, only for reps, right? Ask them the right questions, try to gather the right data. Because
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to close to say, just the call isn't the best way to get to really high quality insights, I think.
Yeah, if you recall, our first biggest challenge was setting a date for meetings. That was difficult. That was really difficult to get that going right. That midnight meeting almost killed me.
And that actually that discussion was ongoing until about August as well.
The other thing was a priority board. At some point before the election, if we could just go through that priority board, I would like to leave it as clean as possible for the next group, because there's some things that really are like continuous improvement things. A project has a beginning and end, and some of those things are never ending. You know, like onboarding. Onboarding will always be something, but there's projects under that did begin and end. And so some of those could come off of there, so they're not faced with the same thing that I was faced with when we came onto the priority board. Was, you know, I'd inherited stuff that was there that was just continuous improvement type stuff.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from that specific board. So it'd be good to just kind of have a little review of it all and kind of transfer anything that's actually relevant over into a new one when we onboard the new circle. We can track them in the GitHub quite easily, just have them as like standby issues or like a backlog, as you would do with like any kind of Kanban board. And then that gives them the option to pick stuff up and review it themselves as well, whether or not it's actually relevant or if it's something that needs to be addressed still, because I don't think we can start to make that decision for them, but ultimately they need to make that decision for themselves, whether or not it's actually relevant still.
Just for a second, Joey. What I would think might be interesting anyway to say maybe that we as a group could have one call, only retrospective, taking a brief, looking back, trying to identify some main challenges and achievements for us, maybe record it as well, maybe really focusing on achievements, because this is something what we do not really, let's say, we are not really able to identify this yet. So say, hey, maybe in 2 weeks from now or something like this, when we say, oh, cool, everything is handed over to a Trip Drops team, we are totally out of the game now. So let's take a moment and just let's identify what did we achieve and try to write it down on a consumable way somehow.
Yeah, should we have that as one of our meetings? Because the time we all meet anyway, and we can just save it for after that handover and just have that kind of decompression.
This would just make a bunch of sense here.
Yeah,
I like
perfect.
that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
And now we are over time, you see?
Awesome. Right. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it today. We smashed it.
I will say, I wouldn't wish this on anybody,
but I really like hanging out with y'all. I really like talking about this stuff. I really appreciate everybody's sincerity in really trying to think about it, you know, and I hope somebody in the community appreciates it, you know, because I think there's reasons why this circle has gotten a lot of criticism, and yet everybody here kept coming, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of you guys stepped in just because other people weren't available anymore, and I think you've all done a really good job of filling some shoes as well. I mean, Quasar has 4 accounts. You know, Quasar has 4 accounts. That's how much he's doing. Well done, Quasar.
The song says, "What if it doesn't kill you? It makes you stronger," right? So hopefully, Circle 4 will be a lot stronger.
Yeah. I think it's better to stick this to the decompression call, but I think there's been a lot of unfair criticism and maybe misinformed criticism of the circle. But other than Danny interrupting my very eloquent speech, no, it's all right. I'm only messing. Oh, I've upset her now. But we've actually taken some really good steps together to improve Catalyst Circle, to kind of make Catalyst more open and more transparent with the community, and improve the processes. And hopefully it's really setting the stage for more improvement to come in the future. You know, we've managed to secure funding. We've managed to figure out processes to get community members involved and help fund them to do work that needs to be done. And it's really nice that IOG actually listening to things that we're suggesting and have taken action on it. You know, I think that's a massive achievement.
Yep. Getting this parameter thing through, guys, this is since Circle version 1, even before Circle version 1. That's where it started. And for this is really massive. This is amazingly beautiful.
Okay, guys, I have to run.
It should be easy to get a raise, right?
Yeah. I'm going to get double what they're paying me now.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, Joey. Have a good one.
I have to run. Take care.
I got to shoot as well, guys. But thank you all. And I'll touch base with you on the weekend for this fly.
I'll be looking for you.
Reese.
All right. Love you loads, guys. See you later, mate.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
I'm just letting you. I was letting you just do your hair. I was letting you finish doing your hair. I didn't want to end before.
Thanks, man.
Gorgeous. Have a good one, Quasar.